Hello and welcome to Positively United, Sunday the 24th of May 2026, my second video of the day. If you haven't seen it already, a short while ago I published my long delayed 5 insights from the Forest game, but because of it was so badly delayed, I also commented on the events that followed the game during the past week. And it contains a very long rant against VAR and a warning about what the events last Monday, when PGMOL essentially overturned the decision of the in-game referee by saying it shouldn't have been a goal and basically throwing the referee under a bus. In that video, I outline in some quite ranty detail why I think that's a disastrous decision for football. And I think it's got very significant, severe long-term implications. So if you're interested in my thoughts on that, watch the video. I'll put a link to it from this one. But this video is my predicted 11th, the game against Brighton this afternoon. Kick-off at 4 o'clock, about 2.25 hours from when I'm recording this video. I'm gonna give them a day off, to be honest with you, because I think it might actually be quite difficult for them to mentally motivate themselves for today's game. And I appreciate that the point back would be, yeah, but they're getting paid a whole load of money to be motivated. But I suppose the one thing that might actually be on their mind, of course, Roy Keane will hate this, but getting Bruno as much help as possible to break that assists record. If you could do it this afternoon, brilliant. He might never have a chance again to do it. That's not basically saying that Bruno's going to decline. In fact, what I'm saying is it would be actually maybe welcome if he wasn't the only man who did all the assists next season and the assist responsibility was shared out a bit more. That would be quite nice. And some of the names that are being linked to us this very day as potential midfield purchases, they sound like players who might be interested in doing a few assists of their own accord next season. So exciting times, but let's concentrate just on the game this afternoon and the starting 11. So we know, well, I think we know that Šeško's not going to play. When Carrick was asked at the press conference if there was any updates on injuries, there was none. So it looks like Šeško's out. We know, of course, Casemiro is now gone. There's no way. He's off in Miami, apparently, with his new club. I suppose it was sensible to draw his career to an end at United in the last home game. Going off to Miami straight away does seem a bit unseemly, but there you go. Maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, but it would have been nice if he'd stayed out the whole of the season, but there you go. So I appreciate I'll probably be in a tiny minority on that one. So he's not going to be around. So, look, the back four is going to be exactly the same, isn't it? Le Mans, Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw. I'm sure that's what he's going to play. Possibly Mazraoui instead of Dalot, but why? I suppose would be the question there. I don't think there's a need to. Although in this game you could go wild with substitutions in the second half if he wanted to. Maybe Mazraoui would come on then. So I suppose of that back four, Mazraoui for Dalot is probably the only one that's under question, but I think you'll go with the back four I put down there. Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw. I would personally, as you very well know, play Heaven instead of Martinez. But I've got a thing about Heaven. I think he's the star of the future. I think we need to make him into one of our permanent centre-backs through next season, but that's for next season. So midfield. Well, if we go by recent games, you'd think that what Carrick would probably do is play Mason Mount alongside Mainu. And actually, in the last game where Mount ended up playing in midfield, I didn't think he was half bad. I would, however, imagine that Ugarte will play, if only to give him a shop window. It's his last chance to show what he can do before I think what will happen is he gets put on the market in the summer. So I don't think in a way that United can turn down the chance of showcasing Ugarte to the world. Not that I should imagine the world will be watching necessarily Brighton versus Manchester United. They're more likely to be watching the Tottenham and West Ham games, aren't they? But there you go. In front of the defensive midfielders, Fernandes going for that assists record. He's got to play. But without Chesko being available, who's he going to play up front? Now, again, if we go by past games, Carrick is likely to play Mbeumo in that position. But it just hasn't worked out, in my opinion. And Mbeumo has suffered as a consequence. It would be really, really nice, and I think Carrick will do it, is to give Mbeumo just one game on the right where he can shine. It would be really nice if he could end his first season at United on a high. It'd be so nice to see him out there on the right. And Dorgu's available, so play Dorgu on the left. Because it's quite clear, as far as I can tell, that United are making all the noises that they see Dorgu as a wide left midfielder rather than a left back. Now, if that's the case, well, the sooner you start playing Dorgu in that position regularly, the better. So play him today. That would mean that Cunha could play up front. And I like Cunha up front. I think one of the best performances we saw this season, and it was under Amorim, was our performance at Anfield against Liverpool, where Cunha played that position for the whole game, and I thought was sensational. So let Cunha have a go in that role. Play him up front. You can always rotate if things aren't going quite to plan or things need mixing around, and Mbeumo could go there and Cunha could go back on the left and Dorgu could come to the right, or whatever you wanted to do. But is that the team I think Carrick will play? I'd like it to be the team Carrick plays. But I think it's probably more my team than Carrick's team. What am I doing? Sorry, messed that up. I think it's more than likely, actually, that this is actually what he'll play. The Dorgu won't start. That Diallo will play on the right, Cunha will play on the left, and Mbeumo will play up front, which is what's been happening recently. And Carrick and his team of coaches have clearly got a reason for that. So that's the team I think Carrick will go with. The team I would go with is Cunha playing up front, Mbeumo on the right, Diallo not in the team, and Dorgu on the left. That's what I would play. Be fascinating to see how it actually gets called. We'll know in about an hour's time. But yeah, I'm not expecting a bust-the-gut performance this afternoon. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not. And I wouldn't be overly critical of the team if they don't. They've done all their job. It's Brighton. They've got skin in the game today. They're the ones who need the result. I guess an awful lot of people will have at least one eye on the Tottenham and West Ham games. And this is not this isn't positively Tottenham or positively West Ham, but we've got to say something about those two games, haven't we? It's interesting. I've actually got friends who are Tottenham fans. It's an accident of where I've lived. And it's strange. I do also have friends who are Arsenal fans, but I have more fans who are Tottenham fans. And they're genuinely bemused about where they are this season. They're genuinely taken aback by what's happened to their club. I'm not. I'm not at all. It's a bit of a fashion, isn't it? And we do it ourselves. We're as bad as anybody else of saying that United is one of the best, one of the worst run football clubs in football. And we have an absolute joy, don't we, in knocking the hierarchy of the club. But I tell you what, it's nowhere near as badly run as Tottenham. This has been coming down the track for Tottenham for years. They thoroughly deserve where they ought to be, where they are now. They ought to be there because they've been so badly run. The reason they won the Europa League last season is because we were managed by a clown. If we'd have been managed by virtually anybody else, we'd have won the Europa League last season, and Tottenham would have won nothing. there's a big part of me that wants to see Tottenham go down, because I'd like to see a poorly ran club punished for being poorly ran, as long as it's not us. Do I think Spurs will go down? Well, they only need a point, don't they? They only need to draw against Everton. And then it doesn't really matter what West Ham do. West Ham can still win and Spurs won't go down. So will Spurs genuinely not get a point at home against Everton? I think an awful lot of it's. I think that game is entirely down to Everton, strangely enough. I think that Spurs will do their best, but I'm pretty certain that the result of that game will be almost entirely down to the attitude that Everton bring into the game. Everton they've got nothing to play for, have they? Don't think they have. Just looking at the table now. No, Everton have got nothing to play for. They can't. I was thinking, could they get into 8th place? No, because the goal difference is just not good enough. They're net 9 goals behind Chelsea in goal difference, so that's not going to happen. So no, Everton have got nothing to play for. So if Everton come with their players with their minds already on the beach, I think Tottenham will stay up. If Everton come to that game just thinking, well, what the hell, let's go out on a high, let's give our fans something to cheer about this season, Tottenham could be in trouble. Who do I want to see go down? Tottenham. Who do I want to see stay up? West Ham. Got a bit of a soft spot for West Ham. I think they're a proper club. But I think Tottenham will stay up. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Right, anyway, as I said, this is not positively Tottenham or positively West Ham. It's positively United. Let's see if we can end the season on a high. It'd be really nice to do so. And forgive me, Roy Keane. Please, forgive me. I really want to see Bruno beat that record, because I actually think it's important. Because I think Bruno is a player who's arrived. He's been a brilliant player since he joined United. A brilliant player. I think he's now a magnificent player. I think he's now truly world class. I think he's now the best player in the Premier League. I think he's now ready to be part of a Manchester United team that goes for the major honours. The Premier League. And eventually the Champions League. But I think next season we should go for the Premier League. And a big part of that is that we've now got the best player in the Premier League in Bruno Fernandes. All the best to Bruno this afternoon. Hope you break the record. You deserve it. And fuck Roy Keane. If you like what I do on this channel, profanities included, please like and subscribe. Let your friends know this channel exists. Get them to subscribe as well. Follow me on X. That's Positively United, spelled UTD. And until we see each other again, always remember, be positively united.